Hello and welcome to another episode of Ivy Backed. I am Austin Harrison. As you may or may not know, I am with Ivy Games. I do not own Ivy Games, as Alex Radcliffe likes to usually say. I am head of games there, and this show is a show where we talk about different active campaigns. It could be on GameFound, it could be on Kickstarter. I don't think I've done anywhere else yet, but if you want me to cover something somewhere else, let me know. I might look into it. But yeah, today we were talking about two I believe new. Actually, I'm not sure if Hegemony is new. Let's see. Yeah, first created. I thought it was. So two new launches and then an expansion of Honeybuzz, which I have Honeybuzz right here. I picked it up at Gen Con, but I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. So looking forward to doing that. Probably will pick up the expansion, even though I haven't played it yet, mostly because the expansion's not going to come for a while, and I'll have plenty of time to play this before then. And I've heard great things. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me as we take a look at these today. Hello, Age of Adam. Good to see you. Dane says he loves the type. I'm assuming he means the Honeybuzz type. It is very good. But yeah, let's jump in. We're going to be talking about Megapulse first, which I'm excited to talk about because not only is it a new creator, first-time creator, but I actually got to meet him at Gen Con. So that was very fun. All right. Big Austin like this, but the screen is smaller, or little Austin, screen bigger. You tell me. We're starting like this. You let me know. All right. So right away, Megapulse. Some of the vibes that I have heard are Mario Kart or F1 racing, or there are quite a few. I'm sure we'll find them in the page. But I love the games like that. I love racing games that are intense and fun. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? So, right away I was like, oh, cool, this looks really interesting. The fact that it's a first-time designer and the page looks this good and the game looks this good, that's always a turn on as well. We're at $17,200 on a $30,000 goal. So we're not quite funded yet on the first day, and I would love to this have already been. I would have loved to have already this been funded. Every game I look at, I want it to be funded, but I definitely think that there's still a shot at doing that on the first day. It's going to be close, but it's a first time creator. Not a lot of people have heard about this. If enough content creators get out there and if enough people share about it on social media and to get eyeballs on it, I do think that this page will convert well. All right, Ages of Adam is saying Little Austin, so we're going to stick with Little Austin, but I'm so small. I wish there was a medium. I don't think there's a happy medium. That's not any bigger. All right, we're sticking with Little Austin for now. Okay. The star of the show is the campaign page. It's not me. Let's be honest. All right. So Megapulse, 2 to 4 players. Remember that because it does go up to 6 with an expansion, and then 60 minutes of playtime, which is a nice playtime. I like games in that playtime area. A+ for me, says Dane. The graphic design and art are top tier on this one. A+ for me. So good to hear from Dane on that. All right, cool. Megapulse, pure adrenaline racing. I like this glitchy GIF nature of this just because it does lean into the adrenaline nature of it. If you have, if you might want to have some kind of, warning, flashing lights warning there, but probably not. I mean, it's probably okay. It's not like a video game or a movie or anything, but yeah, I really, really like the beginning of this page. I think it draws you in. I think it looks really good. Orion Games, they were smart enough to back 21 other games before creating their own. I hate seeing first created 0 backed or 1 backed. So glad that they took the time to back other games first. And you also just learn a lot by backing other games. So I'm happy to see that they have done that. So some things I really, really liked about this is it's not just a well-designed page. They had fun with the page. There's some really fun things in the page that I want to call out. So things that I think look really good, but could be better is this text looks good. And they've done cool things like, highlighting it red, and I like the font and everything, but it's very small text. Looking at that on your phone, it's going to be very, very hard to read. So I could see that getting just a little bit bigger, losing some of the negative spacing and gaining some readability there. But what I like is that the really important text is really big, right? And so that's called visual hierarchy. Like something that you want the person to read more, you want them to read first, needs to be bigger. It needs to be in your face. And so if, bring Mario Kart, bring Wipeout, bring F-Zero to your table, Speed Racer to your table, that's really what they're going for here. They don't need you as much to read. You are in exile, fleeing the dictate's influence to reach the outer quadrants of the galaxy. You might find a way if you're hyperdrive. You need like that's flavor text. Like that's not as important as people being like, oh, this will be like the experience of playing Mario Kart, but it's a board game. So I think if you have to choose which one to read, they're smart in that this is what you're reading, right? So all right, so take my it's too tiny to text with a grain of salt there. All right, so a game by Nicholas, who I met at Gen Con. Nicholas Fournier. I'm terrible with names. You guys know this. Nicholas corrects me on Ivy Games Weekly. He's coming on Ivy Games Weekly on Friday, which I'm very excited about. 14 plus age. Good job, Nicholas. I love seeing that just because I'm always so confused when I see less, unless it's a game targeted at kids. Really, really good job on getting quotes. I think that the quotes are good. I don't think I would have put it any higher. I think where you have it is great, but let's read this really fast. Megapulse is an adrenaline-filled futuristic racing game inspired by titles like Wipeout, F-Zero, and Mario Kart. Now, I will say that I have read that 3 times now. You've got it up here, you've got it here, and here. And so it might be better to raise up your quotes a little bit, so a little bit farther up the page instead of saying that again. But once again, you're also just hammering the feeling that you're going for in your game home, and so I don't hate it there. Features simultaneous action selection, hand building, and tight gameplay until the end. I like those 3 things being in red. I like them being called out here. People like to know their mechanics. I think tight gameplay is something that you're proud of based on reading other parts of the page. And so I really, really like that, especially if it's talking about like a catch-up mechanic, which I think it is. And so I always say catch-up mechanic, and I can't stop thinking of catch-up. But anyway, create a track, choose a pilot, hop into any hover car, and race your way to victory. Become the champion. All right, couple of my favorite people right off the bat. So another reason why I'm backing this game. Alex, Megapulse is a fast, well-paced, streamlined racing game. You always feel like you are having fun. And Mark, not only did Mark give a quote, but it definitely feels like a Star Wars quote, so I like that too. The sense of speed and explosive fun is strong with this one. Makes me feel like I'm 12 again, playing with Hot Wheels and racing against my friends, which is a great quote. And then Patrick from the Level Up podcast, ever play a racing video game and find yourself leaning in your seat when you go around the curves? 100%, I do that. Yeah, I found myself doing that with Megapulse. So really, really good. Really, really good. Dustin is saying better than mustard mechanics, and same with Dane. Good catch, y'all. I'm going to have to make a game that's all about making a burger, and it's one of the things is going to be mustard mechanics, and then you'll have to do mustard mechanics. It's great. All right, key features. Really good. I really like this section for several reasons. One, you have to watch all the GIFs because there's some of the fun is buried in them, like I said, that I was really happy with on this page. I really like the design too. It's very clear. There's a lot of good things going around. But all right, so first off is a modular track. I know exactly what that is from reading the top, but if I want more details, I can say select any track from the track booklet or create your own. Use the special tiles to create harder curves, alternate paths, and shortcuts. Modular tracks are great. This game's going to feel different, at least a little bit every time based on your pilot, your car, and the track. So that's a lot of replayability, and I love seeing that called out really, really quickly. Kevin, the track is very fun to look at, so beautiful and colorful. Yeah, I really think the theme is really in the components. I like that a lot. It feels a little bit Rainbow Roady to me, but not to the point where I don't like it. And so I like it a lot. I think it looks good. Hi, Ryan. Aaron says food chain magnet expansion already has the ketchup mechanic. That's wonderful. Dane says Roll and Eaton is an untapped market. Quote me. Actually, there was a marshmallow like bag that you could buy that had a board game in it, I think. But you ate the marshmallows while you played. So I don't know if it's actually as untapped as you think. Oh, Dane. So we'll see. All right, pilot and hover car. Choose your favorite pilot, hop into any hover car. Pilots in there have their own ability, and hover cars focus on different play styles. So right away, this is all about replayability, right? Like it's a modular track, and you're picking different, pilots and different hover cars. So I think it's really good. Simultaneous action selection. Dang it, the GIF showed the one of the fun parts that I really liked on the page. The cat is like placing down cards, and he's like looking behind his hand. I don't know if you can see that as well on the screen, but it's just there's some really fun moments on this page, and that being one of the main ones where it's like a very serious looking game, and then suddenly it's cat. But anyway, everyone selects their cards simultaneously. Try to outsmart your opponents by planning ahead and anticipating their moves. I love simultaneous action selection. Last Light from Roy Canaday, I don't know how to say that. Coming out has a really good simultaneous action selection system. But any game where everyone's doing their hard thinking at the same time is a good game because it just cuts down on the length of the game, right? So I love seeing that in games, and I think it's a very good competitive advantage to call out. So I think this is a great section. And then insanely fun hand building. Build your hand with new game-changing upgrade cards as you cross the checkpoints. Drastically forge your playstyles as you go. And then always tight. So going back up to the beginning where I called that out, where he said simultaneous action selection, insanely fun hand building, and tight gameplay. I like that this is called out again here. A clever design allows the game to be tight until the end while still requiring a lot of skills to win. Say goodbye to runaway leaders and earn your victory like never before. My only complaint about this section is I want to know more about that mechanic. I want to know what about that, what design helps that happen. And it's not something that's necessary for me to know at this point. Like, just knowing that something that they're really excited about that shows that there is a catch-up mechanic is enough for me, because I'd hate to play this game with, family and then one person just be 2 laps behind and I'm circling them. Like, that's not a good feeling for anybody except for me. And hey, that's great. But I'm excited that it's in here. I just wish there's just a slight more amount of explanation what it is. But okay, cool. Dave Beck here. If you don't know Distilled, Distilled is a game that I've covered in the past. And actually, Dave, I think, came on the show for an Ivy Games Weekly show. Yeah, he definitely did. And he references Flame Rouge here, which is one of Max's favorite games. It felt like a Tronified Flame Rouge after drinking 15 energy drinks, and something I could see myself introducing to gateway gamers and playing with my heavier group again and again. That is a wonderful quote. It does several different things. It compares it to a very successful game. And it says that he can play it with newbies and old players at this point, people that have been playing for forever. So I love that is something that is that's such a good quote. And it's from another designer. It's not from an influencer. So I think that's a really, really solid quote to have there. So nice work on that. And thanks, Dave. Dane says, I hope there's equivalent of a blue shell item. 100% love the blue shell, although I never get it because I'm always in first, so, but whatever. That's not true. I am not that great at Mario Kart. All right. Kevin says, I'll have to look at the page again because gifts were not showing for me in the step section how to play. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would check it again. Sometimes Kickstarter has problems indexing gifts. So when we made a change on Moonrakers, it would take a long time sometimes, and sometimes it just wouldn't load at all. And that wasn't a page load speed problem. It was actually a Kickstarter problem. But it could also just been internet connection. I tried to look at this from my phone a little earlier, and I must have had bad signal at the time. And so I went to my desktop, and it was fine. Just some fun little component images here. How to play, choose 2 cards. Yeah, see, this might be what you were having problems with right here, Kevin. I'll reload in a second to see if he just has updated that GIF. Choose 2 cards. All players simultaneously choose 2 cards from their hand, then reveal. Cards will let you place bombs, shoot, charge nitro, change the turn order, drive sideways, and more. Try to outsmart your opponents by predicting their move. I'm going to go ahead and reload. Let's see if this fixes this GIF. Or send us all the way to the bottom of the page. Thanks, Kickstarter. Why did it do that? This is a longer page. I should have done it via this. Yep, it's working now. All right, drive and resolve cards. Choose the order in which you resolve your cards and your accumulated speed. Try to find the most optimal way to maneuver the track and intentionally crash into other players to damage and push them. Lose traction. I've seen a couple different ways where you can wipe out a little bit. Slide out while moving through curves and take damage upon grinding on the wall. Use abilities with grip to prevent loss of traction, or use the side thrust card at the right moment to move sideways and avoid incoming damage. Use boost pads. This reminds me of who played Knights of the Old Republic, the booster bikes that you'd have to race, and you have to try to get on those boost pads. I love that. So I'm a big fan of that mechanic. I like that a lot. All right, real fast. Are the other gifts working? They are. Okay, cool. Upgrade your hover car. Purchase upgrade cards and use them to forge your playstyle. Swap positions with enemies. Reverse the flow of gravity. Whoa. And momentarily stop time. Deploy exo shields. Hack your enemies' hover cars, etc. That's fun. I like those. I think you purchase your upgrades kind of when you're going around the checkpoints and stuff too, which is, it's cool that that's like a mechanic. Normally in like a racing game, you're not like stopping to get new items and things, but hey, it's a futuristic racing game, so that works. But yeah, weird flex. Dana's my weird flex, but my gifts were working. But yeah, that's funny. Cool. Want to learn more? Download the rules. Always got to have this. Is this whole image a rules clickable button? It is. Nice. This is a really cool art piece too. Really like this. All right. So we got a guy named Matthew. How do you say? I'm not good at these names, people. I'm so sorry. I backed Megapulse, played it in real life, and it's a blast. Now that's a very familiar last name, isn't it? I think that might be a last name that's shared with the designer. So I'd love to hear how you related. But I mean, I also have. I'm also very excited, and I've also backed it. So you can take that as advice as well. Try it out on Tabletop Simulator. Always excited when I see it on Tabletop Simulator versus Tabletopia or anything else, just because I prefer Tabletop Simulator, but there's some people that prefer Tabletopia too. So it happens. All right, cool. Going to move through some of this a little bit faster, just so I don't overstay my welcome like I have in the past. I do like these little shots of just like production photos and board photos and stuff like that. I do think that it's a long page. There's nothing wrong with a long page, but you do potentially lose people during the scrolling of the long page, and so having the really important information higher might be worth it instead of some of these images. But then I also think the images add a lot to the page, so it's one of those, you win some, you lose some, or sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. Another quote here: turn the synthwave up, step into the neon glow of this game. It's fast-paced, highly competitive, and fun. In-game UK content creator. All right, so now we're finally getting to what's in the box. At $49, you get the base game, which has the different checkpoints. It has the different hover cars and the different. I'm going to skip through the hover cars. I do want to touch on each one lightly because I really like the artwork. I really like the player boards. I think they look really well. You know what I'm saying? They look really good. I like the board's design too. I like that they're not just, a rectangle. I like that they've got etches like cut out of them and stuff like that. But yeah, so here are our different pilots. One bunch of different upgrade cards and tokens and reference cards. I always need reference cards, so happy to see that. And then there is a Kickstarter edition expansion called Soul Flux, and that has even more tiles. So I'm guessing you make a bigger board. But one really good thing that it adds is it expands your experience up to 6 players. Now that is in tiny text. I kind of want this to be like a massive like header here where it just says like expands from 2 to 4 to 2 to 6 or something like that, or adds 2 more players to the game. Just something that's a little bit more clear that you can really, really expand your player count by doing that. A lot of people have 5-player, 6-player player groups, and they're looking for more 6-player games. So I think this is a really important thing. And then also, because it is simultaneous action selection, it doesn't add hours to the time just by adding 2 players. It definitely adds some time, I'd imagine, but it doesn't add ridiculous amount of time. Matthew, am I saying that right? Is this just how you spell Matthew? And I'm not being silly. Is the brother. Well, I'm very glad you were here, and I'm glad you're supporting your brother. All right, cool. Dane said, I joined a giveaway and plan to test it out on TTS soon. You should definitely invite me to that, Dane. I will come play on TTS because it looks very fun. Track booklet and a rule book for just this specific expansion. Gonna skip on through that. It does have a hover car that they haven't finished designing yet. There is a disclaimer up here that says the content and images seen in this expansion are still a work in progress. The components are subject to change, but it does come with an entire new ship. And then it comes with this ship as well. So that's 2 more ships and 2 more pilots, which obviously is how you're getting up to the player count. All right, skipping through the rest of that. Pledge levels, we've got the access to the pledge manager at $1, rookie at $49, veteran at $85. So you're going from about $50 to $85 by getting that expansion. One thing I did notice that I thought was a little bit odd was the retailer discount is actually shown. And I don't think that's a problem. And this is a pretty standard discount. Discounts range between 60 and 40% for retailers just across the board. So that falls within that. it's just for people that are outside of the industry or don't necessarily back a lot of games, they see that and they're like, oh my gosh, like sponsors get this, like, or like retailers get this so cheap. That's ridiculous. I'm just going to go get it from a retailer and it will be cheaper, just because they don't necessarily understand how the entire process works. So usually that's obfuscated a little bit, where the retailers are having to go through you to get the game. They're not just able to back at it at a pledge level. And then also it's way easier to vet if they can't just back it directly. So that's one piece of advice I'd have, is just to maybe obfuscate that just a little bit. It's probably hard to do because I imagine there's already a retailer that has backed. Maybe not though. Yep, there's one that's backed. So yeah. Champion Pledge, you actually get to design your own pilot, which is kind of fun. That sounds super cool. I don't have that kind of money to spend on designing a pilot, but there is a lot of cool things that they do on there. And then you get free shipping, which almost worth it at that point, right? Dane says, I wonder if you can fit any extra stuff from the expansion to the main box. Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't seen anything about that on here, but that is a question I'm sure they'll get in the comment section. Mini expansion freebie, Chaos Edition at a reduced price, and the solo mode print and play. That is the Why Back Now section. Why Back Now, we see at the beginning, we see at the end, we see everywhere. And this is another example of right in the middle of the page. You get a mini expansion freebie, which is a new pilot and some other things. The Chaos Edition is sold at a reduced price on the campaign, which is pretty standard. And then the solo mode print and play. Print and play for this game, I think a lot of the fun parts is going to be the track and the different hover cars and other things. So I definitely wouldn't do some print and play, but I actually haven't found a print and play I would do. So I don't think that's a negative on the campaign. I think it's just a negative about me. But yeah, we'll see. All right, add-ons, extra copy. There's the mini expansion, and then just more expansions. And they said that they have more to unlock as far as add-ons go through the stretch goals. I'm going to move through some of these reviews and different things. I do want to cover Alex again because it's Alex. Megapulse might be the fastest punches game I've seen in the genre of combat racing games. That's a nice quote. Skipping all these other ones, though, I did want to show two things that I thought were cool. They have a race, and it's the different hover cars, and they have different rewards that they get, and they're trying to race to get those rewards by like pitting them against each other. And it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and BGG, which I think is a really cool idea. And it's like, watch the YouTube trailer, I guess, or something. I'd have to click on it to find out. But it is cool that they've done this social goals as a race. I think that's fun. And then finally, they have a tournament which looks really, really cool. I said finally. I don't know why I said finally. There's several things here that I think are really cool. Creating your own tracks, doing a tournament, and then stretch goals is where I was trying to get to. Finally, the stretch goals section. I like that the stretch goal is the track. There's just a lot of really fun decisions on the page. The cat, the stretch goals being done as the race, the social goals being done as a race. I really like the page. I think it's done really, really well. But right away, if you get to 38K, it's going to be Spot UV on the box. There's a booster pack that's unlocked as an add-on. There's an extra track added to the base game. There's an extra upgrade card added to the base game. So they've balanced this as being some things add-ons, some things as just upgrades. So like the player boards go to 3-layer, which is a really, really nice upgrade if you ask me. So it kind of balances back and forth. I think they will have people that are upset, like, oh, well, I don't want to unlock an add-on as a stretch goal because that's just a way for me to pay more money. But they have balanced it with some really good just upgrades that are not add-ons that everyone gets. So I think they did a good job of balancing that. But at the same time, I'm sure they'll get complaints because I've seen those complaints on a lot of different campaigns. It's a really good thing to end the upgrades there or the add-ons there. Wow, the stretch goals there because you just never know what you're going to find at. So I think it's good that they planned to launch the rest of those later. Cool. Some more pictures. I'm going to skip through those. Let's get down to shipping. Shipping, they have a section. I think it looks really good as just far as the clarity. It is a lot for shipping. And I think that's just going to be a new standard. Like I'm not thinking they're inflating these prices. This is probably just the prices that they got from QML. I do believe QML is their partner. I just want to make sure real fast because I do remember seeing that. Yeah. So they've got Quartermaster Logistics helping them there. And that's just really hard. Like, if you have your logistics partner telling you like, yeah, to ship something in the United States, it's going to be $20. Like that's a rough place to be as a first time creator because it's so much to ask. But at the same time, like that's just reality right now. Hopefully that'll go down before they deliver, but they can't plan on that. So base game is $19 to ship within the US, $24 for the base game plus the expansion. And that's how they've broken it up between rookie and veteran here. Europe is more expensive than that, and that does not include VAT. So shipping and taxes, including VAT and other regional sales and taxes, regional sales taxes will be calculated and charged after the campaign using BackerKit Pledge Manager. It's a great way to do it. I think it's clear, and I'm glad they have that and figured that out as a first-time creator. So this is the disclaimer I was looking for. The world is currently going through a very important shipping crisis. Due to this crisis, the shipping rates are higher than usual and in constant fluctuation. We aim to give you an honest and clear communication throughout the production and fulfillment process. Like that's like, hey, us recognizing, yeah, this is their expensive shipping costs, but this is why. Yeah. Once again, they covered that it doesn't include taxes like that, so they've been very, very clear on that. These are heavily subject to change and do not include taxes like that. So yeah, I think they've covered their bases well. It's just an unfortunate reality of what crowdfunding shipping is right now. Really, really nice timeline. It also seems pretty realistic timeline. So they're planning on finalizing their product, like getting all their files done in January, Pledge Manager opening in March, them getting sampling and stuff going in June, manufacturing beginning in August, freight shipping in November, fulfillment next 2 Januaries from now, and then, actually fulfilling for sure by April 2023. It's a long timeline, but it's a realistic timeline, especially if the files aren't all done, which we know they aren't done because there's potentially some expansions that are going to be unlocked still. So a little bit on the team. There's Nick. And then the most important person is Jean-Louis, I believe, the name of the cat. And so I'm very glad that the cat is featured. I think as a stunt actor. Yeah. Good to always have the partners there and start the hype train. Cool. Just as like end thoughts on this, there are a lot of really prominent people that I trust. They're saying the game is very fun. I think the art looks great, and I like the different hover bikes. I like that it's got a lot of replayability between, just picking a different bike, picking a different pilot, picking a different track. And so I wish that this was funding at 100K already. I think it definitely is the type of game that could be. It's just really hard to break out right now. Like there's a lot of competition in the space. It's really close to Christmas, so people aren't spending as much money on things that won't deliver for a while. And so you're hitting a lot of challenges. And could it still be very successful if more people hear about it and the word starts getting out? 100%. I think this could still be very successful. It's still its first day. But granted that a lot of campaigns that don't fund on the first day aren't able to keep the momentum up to keep funding. And that's not always the case. You look at something like Iridia, granted had a huge funding goal of 800K, didn't fund till like the 5th day. But they had a steady growth the whole time. And so you kind of just have to wait and see. And I really hope this is one that is able to succeed. So excited to talk to them on Friday for Ivy Games Weekly. All right, cool. Moving on to Honey Buzz. I'm still managed to do a half hour on the first one. Maybe I can do 15 minutes on the second and third. I will say that Honey Buzz's page is very short because it is an expansion. There are some things that I wish I could see here, but overall, Elf Creek Games really just knocks their production out of the park. Like, I got to see Merchants of the Dark Road in person at Gen Con, and man, oh man, does that look good. The components are just off the charts. I have the non-deluxe version. I was late to the game. I have the standard edition of Honey Buzz. And so I don't know whether I'm going to get the deluxe edition of Honey Buzz Fall Flavors, or should I just complete my standard edition, or maybe should I sell this and then upgrade to the deluxe edition? All questions I have to figure out in the next 15 days because this is a very short campaign. 15 days is not long, obviously. They're already up to almost 1,000 backers, did 70,000 the first day. This is definitely something I could see getting much, much higher as they get their email list going and they tell people, hey, this thing's launched. You love Honey Buzz, come back and get an expansion. And they have some really good quotes that kind of sell that. And so, but yeah, open up the honey stand and bring the pumpkins. It's time for the first expansion to hit worker bee placement game, Honey Buzz. Do you guys remember a few years ago when there were like 3 or 4 games in a row that hit Kickstarter that were all bee themed? I feel like this is the only one I'm still hearing about. So that's I guess that's a really good. It's a really good selling point for it. But welcome back to Honey Buzz Fall Flavors. Right away, I think this is a great start. I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but we talk about something on the show called just like you got to show off your laurels. You got to build upon your laurels. You got to talk about how successful this game was before, because this game has like an 8 on BGG and is in the top 1,000 games of all time. It's 774 right now. And so that's a really, really solid rating. That's an incredible place to be, but we don't really see much about the first game. We kind of just jump right into the expansion, which isn't terrible either. And then at the bottom of the page, there's some reviews on Honey Buzz. I just wish there was something about the game and like, Dice Tower approved or something like that. But other than that, really, really great start. They have squishy fruit, and you guys know I like squishy fruit because of Tidal Blades. But they have squishy honey, so there's lots of really good things about about the components right away that you can see. But yeah, let's dive in. About the game, Sweetwater Grove is all a buzz. It was delicious summer thanks to the hard work of the accountants like you. Now autumn is here and winter is coming. You have new orders from Her Majesty. Harvest and sell fruit. Decorate the hive with colorful autumn leaves. Cap nectar cells for winter storage. And prepare to honor your revered retiring worker bees. So strike up the waggle dance. It's time for business. So just a little quick shot at new components. A little bit about the theme. And then jumps right into what's in the box. You see the squishy fruit here. Pumpkins, I'm guessing pears and apples. Correct me if that's not a pear. I think it is. And just showing you some of the other cards and the board. I love the board. I think it's really, really beautiful art, and just really fun. I'm definitely the napping one right here. The napping bee. I just got back from vacation, but the drive to and from to Texas was me sitting in between my 2 kids in the back seat. So I didn't get a lot of napping in on that trip, at least not as much as I would have liked. Yeah. Deluxe components. So they have, I really like the way Elf Creek does it. They have pretty standard component systems where they're able to get you a much cheaper game. I mean, this expansion is $29 on, the standard components and $59 with deluxe, but they're deluxe. They do deluxe really, really well. Just looking at their other games and feeling the components, I know that their deluxes are worth it because of how much they upgrade, but I think they do it really well. There is an alternative box art and sleeve and a deluxe component upgrade pack. And I like how they've called that everything in the standard plus this stuff. So yeah, really, really cool. Figure tokens, basically. The nectar caps are, bigger. It's things that you don't really understand unless you've played the game or upgraded components is a really hard thing to explain to someone that hasn't played the game, right? But overall, just looks really cool, and I think it's got some really fun colored tokens here. So overall, it is a pretty short page, and I wanted to talk about that. It is the welcome. Here's some stuff, and then there's the theme, and then what's in the box, deluxe, and then the fall player pieces, and then now we're back to learning about Honey Buzz. This is a how to play of the original Honey Buzz, not a how to play the expansion. We can read the rule book. Yep, this is the rule book for the fall flavors. I'm 90% sure. Yep. So at least you have that. There's the different pledge levels, promo items coming soon, add-on items. This is stuff from their first campaign. And then what's the buzz? This is the first section that I really am like, oh yeah, this is the meat I was looking for on the campaign page. And they chose really specific people to be their quotes, and I think they did excellent choices here. First off, having Jamie be one of your quotes on your page. Everyone loves Jamie. Everyone respects him as a designer. So having him have a quote about your game is a wonderful choice if you can get it. Okay. The expansion adds a number of clever reasons to pay attention to and impact other players, from the leaves on the tiles to the set conversion and the fruit market to the value of the nectar caps. This is my favorite type of player interaction. So he's really selling the need, or the reason you would get this expansion is it adds player interaction. So I think it's a really solid quote. Then this is from Derek and Lizzie Funkhauser. Love them. We love Honey Buzz so much we were skeptical an expansion would improve the gameplay, but they've nailed it. This expansion is buzzing. If you have a great game and people are like, well, it's complete, doesn't need anything else, this is another quote that is really important to have. Like, yes, we also thought that, but we really love the expansion. And then finally, Merchants of the Dark Road designer Brian here, a fun, festive expansion that brings interesting new decisions to an already great game. You've got a Thinker Themer video on Honey Buzz again, not on the expansion, and then a board game coffee review about Honeybuzz again. You won't be disappointed. See, it's wonderful. So overall, there's just not a ton of information here, but let's talk about that. Like on an expansion, what would you want to see on an expansion page like this? Like what is there anything missing? Like they have the rule book, they have some quotes about the game. There's no gameplay video, but maybe that's coming. Overall, like if you've played Honeybuzz, like do you need more than that? And I'm not sure you do. Meet the team, and then that's the page. It is very, very short. They've got shipping estimates here. Shipping and VAT will be charged in the pledge manager, so they're clear on that. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this, where like shipping is not charged until like a year after the campaign, and they're positive of what it will be. And so you'll see ranges. It'll say $15 to $20, or you'll see estimate right there, which just says this is what our best guess is, just because it is such a fluctuating situation. And that might actually be in your favor, because if they do it now, it's going to be 20. But in a year from now, if the shipping situation is improved, which I don't think it will, but if it has, they might be able to charge you 18 or 17 or 16. And so I think it's good. I think it's good to have. Dane's saying, yep, laurels for the original game were missing. Agree with you there. And he also says, I really like acrylic pieces. So I don't have too many games with acrylic pieces in them. So I'm curious. I'm excited to get this and see what they're like. All right. So that's Honeybuzz. Really, really quick campaign there. And already at 70K, I'd definitely pass 100K and probably do way more than that. It's been going up pretty quickly. All right. Last one for today, which has been the breakout game today at 120, almost 130,000. Hegemony, lead your class to victory, a unique, asymmetric, card-driven 2 to 4 player board game experience about politics and economy, a whole nation in one box. All right. Political games are hard to do well. And it's just because there's a lot of opportunities to insult people. There's a lot of opportunities to have people not agree with you or get mad and insult each other while they're playing. And everything I can glean from the game is that this is more broad strokes than, that. And it's really a simulation from very smart people, from economists, from political scientists that have come together to put this game together. And I think it'll be really interesting. So I'm really, really excited to kind of dive in. And I've looked at this page a lot today. First off, it's first created, but they also have backed 21 games. 21's been the magic number. I believe Megapulse also did 21. So you have to back at least 21 games, y'all, before you launch your own game. But it's kind of cool that they have it as a project. Like the Hegemonic Project Games is new board games company that aims to create board games with link politics and economics with gaming. And I think that's really unique. It's a unique mission. That's not something I've heard of before. And so I like that this is like something they've set out to do, and they've been working on it for a while. One person in our Discord said, is it possible to have too many quotes on a page? And we'll talk about that. I don't know if it is, but if it is, it might be this page. And I think that quotes are really, really important. Listen, like you cannot play a game that is on Kickstarter unless it's on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia. But to be honest, that is the very minor fraction of your backers actually play the game before they back it. There's just not many people that do that. They don't want to. The reason they're into board games is they don't like playing computer games, so they're not going to do that. And so really, the way you convince people to buy your game is the way it looks and then what other people say about it. Those are like the two big things that you can use crowdfunding for. Sure, the mechanics and how it plays and your how to play section are all important, and the player count is important for people making a decision. But really, does it look good? Does it look like aesthetically pleasing? Does it look something that plays well? And what do other people say about it? So really leaning into quotes is not necessarily a bad idea, in my opinion. All right. Especially when your quotes are coming from Richard Ham, who of course is from Rahdo Runs Through. This is probably the most impressive game that I've played this year. I imagine Rahdo plays a lot of games, so that is a really, really really great quote to have. And then right away, there's a massive 72-hour early bird. I cannot talk today, y'all. Reward here. And as far as I can tell, this is just more cards. I think it's 30 some cards that add some historical flavor to your game. So that's fun. I love, because this is a question I ask all the time. You guys know when I've seen other 72-hour rewards, 48-hour rewards, it has a little asterisk here that says after 72 hours, it'll be available as an add-on for $8. So I know right away, like, okay, this is worth $8 to me. Backing in the next however long I have is worth $8 to me. And that's good for the people that are backing now so they can know the dollar value of what they're getting. But it's also good for people that miss it, that are like, oh, I didn't back. Okay, is it $8? Do I need that? Is this going to stop me from backing the game? I think it's good. Yeah, it's a really huge quote, Dane. Big fan of that quote. Everybody get a quote for your game like that if you can. Okay, so this is really high. Like, I don't know anything about the game yet. I do because I've read this page. But if I was just coming to the first time, I don't really know anything about the game yet. But I know I get a free educational booklet with every pledge. Now, normally I would say this is a mistake. However, this is their goal. The Hegemonic Project Games came together to create a link between politics, economics, and gaming. So having education for people is a part of their ethos as a company. And therefore, I do not think it is a mistake. I may not have put it as the second thing on my page, but this is what they're about. And it's something that's kind of non-negotiable for them. So I think that it's cool that they have it here. And I think it's really cool as a concept. But it is very, very high on the page. However, it is something that you get. It's something that you're getting Kickstarter exclusive, which is fun. It's a free physical edition of our 46-page educational booklet concepts, that's just massive. Only available in English because that would cost a lot to translate. And they're obviously not going to translate it and then want to do prints of it because that's very expensive for a free item. But it is very, very cool. I think that's awesome. From Tantrum House, Jonah said, I thought, wow, I mean, somebody put serious time and energy and effort into this game to make sure that it represents a true and real society and state. So moving on. Now we get to the kind of meat of what the game is. 14 plus. Woo. Duration is 45 minutes per player. And then players 2 to 4. And you're representing 4 different classes here. You've got the state, the middle class, the capitalist class, and the working class. You got some really, really like lens flare. It's almost like Star Trek lens flare. Some what's in the box images here. It is a big game. There's a lot of components in there. So pretty cool. I'm going to start having to skip some quotes, even though a lot of these people are wonderful people, just because there are a lot. This one is reviews. Before it was just quotes, right? They weren't saying necessarily reviews. But these aren't reviews either. These are still quotes. Like they're not giving it a 5 out of 5 or a 4 out of 4 or whatever. No one gives a 4 out of 4, 4 out of 5. But it is really good quotes. If you have quotes as good as this, I understand why you're putting so many on your page, right? But I'm going to skip them. About the game, the nation is in disarray, the economy is failing, and a heavy political resignation engulfed the country. Low investment rates are paralyzing the economy while a major part of the population is facing unemployment. The standard of living is decreasing while political tensions are rising. In these troubling times, the only one who can provide guidance is you. It's kind of sounding familiar to a lot of our current problems. So, I mean, not really. Obviously, things are better than what's happening in this game, but still, we can all kind of identify with some of that. And so it's an interesting theme. I'm an escapist, so I don't know if I necessarily want to live the terror that could happen in a board game, but hey, everyone's a little bit different. One of a kind, truly asymmetric. Is a name or a term I see thrown out around here. And I think that's awesome if it's backed up. I want more information on how it's backed up, but it seems like you're playing, one of its kind is the thing that I'm questioning. Like how is it one of its kind? There are games that are really, really asymmetric that I have played. But yeah, you're simulating a whole nation, its politics, and its economy. I also want to know more about how do you play the game when the capitalist class isn't being played. Like how much does that affect it when you're not playing at 4 players? But yeah, overall, I mean, more and more reviews here. And then they start talking about each one that you can play: the working class, the capitalist class, the middle class, the state. It talks a little bit about your victory conditions and how it is asymmetric. And I think that does back up that initial quote of one of its kind, which is neat. But yeah. Okay. We are almost halfway down the page and we are how to play for the first bit. I am not going to be able to cover all of this. I think that their how to play section is good. The gifts are, I think, great. It's a little bit long, but I think they're really good to kind of show what you're going to be doing. production, election, scoring. There's just a lot that you were doing in this game. It is a big game. Okay, moving on to some more of my thoughts. I really like this what's in the box GIF. I watched it like 3 times just because it's a fun way to introduce everything. It's just a massive, stacks of things falling into place. It's very TTS, but it's still really cool to me. Yeah. What's in the box? Okay, we are now more than halfway down the page, and we are just now getting to the prices and the what's in the box. Honestly, price is pretty surprisingly low for the number of things in the box and the amount of time that it seems like has gone into this. It is just a lot of components, and to get a box with that much packed into it for $70 or less is a lot. And they are saying right away that it's a 23% discount off of MSRP, which I think is smart of them. I think it might be nice for us to not have to do the math there, right? If this is a quarter off, like I'm going to do the math and it's like the actual cost is like $95 or whatever, but math is not anyone's strong suit, right? Some people, I guess. Talks about the early bird. I wonder if they're going to have to change this whole what's in the box image after the 72 hours. So I need to come back and check that. But yeah, just going through the components, I'm going to blow through this because it's just a lot, but you can see why I'm surprised that it's a $68 game just because of how long this what's in the box section is. On top of that, there's great stretch goals, a lot of upgraded components, a lot of new cards, things like that. So you got crisis response. We got just tokens and all kinds of cubes and stuff getting unlocked and getting upgraded, getting silk screen printed stuff. So I think that they did a good job on that. We always talk about stretch goals and what were they planning on doing? Well, things like this, where it's like, it's a circular token. This is once again just my opinion. It's a circular token. It already has a spot in the box. It's either going to be red or it's going to be red with the worker icon on it. And I think that this is a legitimate stretch goal that you could do and say it wasn't planned from the beginning. We were either going to do it, we weren't going to do it, just depending on how much we funded. And so I like seeing goals like this, where it's like, from a production standpoint, when there's a stretch goal that I know has been included from the beginning, I can be like, well, the reason I know is because they're going to have to completely change the tray, and they're going to have to completely change this aspect of the game. They're going to have to completely change the player board because now it needs to have an extra slot. Like, you can just tell some things are included from the beginning, they're expecting to fund it. Whereas things like this, I could legitimately see that be a real stretch goal. So I think I like seeing stretch goals that I think are real. Goals, 150 shares, 100 retweets. Y'all, I just don't know how many of these actually get made. Like, social goals are hard things sometimes. Like, people don't want to share about a board game on Facebook, but 150 shares isn't that many when they already have almost 2,000 backers. So maybe they'll hit those. But 4 free vote tokens and 4 free action cards COVID-19 response. Oh man, getting real now. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a little bit too real for me. Like, I'm an escapist. Like I said, like, I want to play something in a fantasy realm. I don't want something that's that close to reality. I don't want to think about having to make decisions about people dying and living based on my COVID response as, the capitalist society in the game. But there are people that want more simulation, more realistic things. And I like playing historical simulations like World War II. So maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong here. Why back now? Once again, kind of like middle of the page, down past the middle of the page. We've seen it at the beginning, we've seen it at the end, we've seen it in the middle. I like that they highlighted things here, just so you can do like a quick kind of just breeze through it without having to read everything. Having like headers might be a little bit easier for that even. But right away, let's go ahead and look. Early bird backers get the historical events thing, and then you get 23% savings on that. Non-early bird backers, you're getting 14% savings, and then you get the educational book, and then all stretch rewards are free. Silver says, I don't want to hear about COVID in games or movies or TV. Agreed. I also do not want to do that. Aaron, I wonder if we'll see more games like this and Shasen, I can never remember actually pronounce that. I only see it spelled. Focused on examining modern society and politics. Aaron, I think there's a place for it. And even though I don't necessarily like it, I think that you can learn, and maybe that's the kicker here, is like they're trying to teach people things, not just teach them, or not just let them have fun. Can you teach someone something and let them have fun at the same time? And that's ideal, right? But a lot of people are playing board games to escape, not to necessarily learn. But I think that media in general needs to be a mirror for society and let us look at some of our own problems. It just, with a board game, is it something that people won't back because of that? But they're almost at 200K, right? So I think that they're obviously doing something right. Or 130K, excuse me. They're almost at 2,000 backers, not 200K. Correction from me there. But yeah, I think we will see a lot more of that. All right, final thoughts from Rado. We've got Man versus Meeple. We've got Heavy Cardboard, Cardboard Rhino. I always get that messed up. Tantrum House, Alex. Some people I'm not as familiar with because it looks like that is German and maybe French. Ludo Chrono. Anyone know where they're from? Tabletopia. Don't know. I don't love Tabletopia, but I'd still try it on there. Retailer pledge. We welcome retailers to participate in this project. Back the retailer's pledge of the project and contact us for more information either via KS message or info@. Let's look and see what their retailers pledge. $9 or more. This is a deposit, not the full amount. So this is a little bit more obfuscated, like I've said in the first campaign, and that's how I prefer to see it. I also think they were smart in making it the $90 pledge level, which is the top pledge level, so you don't actually see it unless you scroll all the way down to see it. So I think that was the right way to do that. Shipping. This is where you're starting to see the range that I mentioned earlier. And so it's one of those things where you're just not really sure at this point. Please note that the provided shipping costs are estimate. The actual shipping fee will be calculated through BaggerKit Pledge Manager and charged once the campaign is closer to fulfillment. This is all about trying to really nail the actual cost that will be in effect when you're delivering the games. And I think that's just going to be standard from here on out for a lot of people. Cool. That will be charged in BackerKit, and retailers will kind of pay that or not, depending on where they are and how that works. This is the first time I've seen anything about a reverse charge scheme. Interesting. Okay. Different partners they're working with. They're licensing it to people like Simon, is doing it in China. And then there's people in France. So that's a good way to do it, especially for a first-time backer where you're wanting to reach more global regions, but that it's really, really hard to, be VAT registered and to print different languages and cover all that. So I think that's the way to do it. I think that's good. Cool. Timeline. Kickstarter campaign runs till 2/12. Is it really till 2/12? How many days are left in this thing? Oh, it's in European. I was like, what the heck? Yeah. 11/9 to 12/2, excuse me. So it runs until December 2nd. Finalized development in March, pre-production till May, production June to September, shipped to warehouses in October, and delivered to you in November. Shipped to warehouses in October. It'll be tight. Shipping is taking a lot longer depending on your region. It would make sense that they would have it this way because they are in. Oh, come on, go all the way up. Cyprus. So US is one of the farthest regions to ship to from China. And so for us, we had a little bit more time there just because of, the backup at the ports and everything. Hopefully none of that will be an issue when they ship. So this very well could be a very accurate timeline. Yeah. Really, really good looking first page. And I've been really impressed in the last year. Just on some of the first time creators pages. I mean, just today, Megapulse and Hegemony, am I even saying it right? Are wonderful examples of a first time page. And I think the game looks really, really interesting. I think if they have nailed, and it seems like they have based on the quotes, that asymmetry of when I'm the working class, like I have a bunch of power through, strikes and all this other stuff, but I'm also really at risk because, if I do go on strike, there's people starving, or I'm at the most risk for COVID, or I'm at the most risk. There's a lot of interesting things that I could see happening. It just might be a little bit too real for me personally. But hegemony. Thanks, Aaron. Kevin says, I really don't understand why they specify the day first, like the month is the most helpful first. Yeah, who knows? I'm sure they say the same thing about us. That's pretty funny. Overall, I mean, really good page, and I think my only qualm has nothing to do with the game or the page. It's just personal preference of being a little scared that it's not escapist enough for me. But I think it would be interesting. I think I definitely want to try it, and we're backing it, so I definitely will try it. I just don't know if it's going to be a game I'm like, oh, hey, dinner party, let's play a game after. And it's like, it's a dark game about society. I think that might not be my personal choice, just because it's definitely seems like a learning experience and something that it looks really entertaining. It's just also a little bit dark. Yeah, all personal experience, like, or personal preference. Like I said, I think this looks incredible, and I think they've done a really good job. And they've done things that I think are like pro level, like clarifications. Like there weren't too many questions I had. I think that might be why I don't have a lot to say about the game. They answered a lot of my questions as I was scrolling through the page, and that's really good to hear or see while looking at a game. There's a lot of information before they get to the pledge levels, but on Kickstarter, that's not as big of a deal because the pledge levels are right here. Cool. Man, I am ahead of schedule. Yeah, Dustin says, I usually pull TI4 out after dinner. Yeah, and then you play until the next dinner the next day. Perfect. Yeah, Aaron says, this kind of reminds me of how Pandemic got a little too real in the last couple of years. Yeah, I haven't played Pandemic since the beginning of the pandemic. And I wonder, I think they had like a surge in sales. I think they sold out a lot of places because people were like, oh yeah, this is funny, let's play this. But at the same time, like, I haven't wanted to play since then. But yeah, who knows? Like I said, I'd much rather play a game about aliens like TI4 after dinner. And that's also my favorite game. So Jessica says, have you checked out Clash of Decks Season 2 at launch today? No, but I also wanted to touch on Realm of Shadows. And so I will try to hit Clash of Decks right after that. Realm of Shadows, it's funded now. It's at 17K. This is an interesting campaign. If you don't know who Gabe Barrett is, Gabe runs the Board Game Design Lab podcast, which I think is really great. I don't listen to it as much as I did for a while. I was listening quite actively for a little while. I've fallen off a little bit in general of podcasts. But it's a really cool campaign. It's got 3 different games, all focused at solo play, although I believe the last one does have a 2-player variant as well. Let's make sure about that. Yes. So the last Stronghold can play 2 players. Overall, I think the art style is really cool. I like the limited color palette. And just kind of how you've got like purple and like teal here, and then really just like the red here, and then on the last one it's all yellow. I think that looks really cool, and I think it ties them together in a cool way. And then also it's just fun that you're getting 3 solo different experiences for a pretty affordable price. Let's see, what is all of it together? So all in is $50. So you're getting all 3 of those experiences for $50. And if I was more of a solo gamer, I'd be backing this. But I do not like playing games solo. I do not find it to be, I would rather play a computer game. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with me, and that's why games like this can be successful. But I would prefer to play something that's more automated if I'm going to play by myself. Yeah, really, really cool concepts and really cool art style. And so I just wanted to call that out as a cool looking campaign. Also, Gabe, for the amount of work he does for the community, definitely deserves support. Because 126 back, 13 created. He does some cool stuff. So thanks, Gabe. All right, Jessica, Clash of Decks Season 2. You said it launched today, so let's go ahead and search by newest. That's not right. Clash of Decks Season 2. I don't know a bunch about this game, or Season 1 for that matter. Doing great. $61,000 already. 1,200 backers. Funded Season 1 with 20,000 backers. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Oh, I do remember this. Their first campaign was a free-to-play. Was this the one that... Yeah, okay. I want to go to this first campaign now. 0 backed. I do remember this. I remember this very well because I was like, how does a free game make sense? Starter kit. You only pay for shipping, worldwide shipping for €2. Please, for each additional copy, please add €2 to your pledge. It doesn't make... I still don't understand how they did this at all. But it is interesting. I remember looking through this a lot and kind of just not really understanding. But yeah, let's look at this one. Okay, Clash of Decks Season 2 is a card dueling game for 1 to 2 players, age 8 plus, plays in 15 minutes. Is it free? Single standalone expansion. 6 standalone expansions for $35. Wow. All 6 expansions, group pledge. How many of these are you getting? Receive 4 bundles for €90. Wow. Clash of Decks was first published in France in 2020 in an unusual form. A card game you had to cut yourself out of folded cardboard sheet. Interesting. A new standalone expansion was published monthly throughout 2020. By the end of 2020, Clash of Decks died. Sorry, I'm reading this because I haven't experienced it yet. There's not much I can say without playing the game, just because it breaks so many rules of what I'm normally looking at, just because the first game was not about turning a profit or even breaking even, really. Print and play or print on demand. €2 per card. Per card. Wow. Okay. I'm so confused. I think I need more time to break this down before I could actually cover it. But this print on demand thing, you're able to add a picture to the card and then print it. And then they will send it to you. So you can make cards with your face on it, which is pretty cool. Or I wonder if they limit, like, if they have a filter on what can be uploaded, or I definitely feel like some very not nice people would take advantage of that. But it's interesting. Dustin says, so before the game was free and you paid for shipping, and now you pay for the game and the shipping is free. Oh no, that's pretty funny. I mean, they'd be cheap to ship. They're just card decks, so it wouldn't be heavy. It would just be, like shipping a 52 deck of cards probably. Yeah, I can't give you too much thoughts on this other than the fact that it does have some ratings and comments section here. What's it called? Clash of Decks. Whoa. So average rating is 7.3. How did I get all the way back up here? Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I wouldn't expect a card game that's just a dueling game to be higher than that. So, yeah, I don't think there's. I mean, if you got the first one, you should definitely get the second one, especially because you got the first one for free, and if you played it and you liked it, support the creator for sure. I think that's all I can say about it. But yeah, it was a lot launched today. A lot more launched than I thought would launch. I don't want to do it that way. It's so close to Christmas that I figured not as much would be launching, just because people will be spending their money on that. The Christmas card game, though, check that out. But I mean, there's a lot launched with $50,000 to $100,000 launched or funded already. Cool. It's a good day. People are funding stuff all the time. It's really fun. It's really fun to see first-time creators fund really well, and it's also sad when there's games that you really want to fund well that don't fund as well. And so, always excited to talk about them and cover them and see what the community is interested in backing too. So always comment with things you want me to take a look at, and I'm happy to do that. Hopefully next time I'll be able to give it a little bit more of a look before I start talking about it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching today. I will see you on Friday. We are talking to the creator of Megapulse. So if you want to come out and get to ask him questions, that would be a great time to do that. And also just encourage them. And I'm looking for his name. There's Nicholas Fournier. I don't know how to say that, but I'll probably learn before Friday. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you this coming Friday for that, and then next week when I be back. Talk to you then.